Jamie here with History Hiccups. Today we're going to do part 2 of the Cutty Sark. This article is from the Royal Museums of Greenwich, rmg.co.uk. And it's going to be the 1878 to 1883. Tramping for Cargoes, Murder, and Mutiny. Alright, stay tuned. Another good one. Cutty Sark's story takes a dramatic turn. With steamers taking over the tea trade, Cutty Sark's owners had to find a new future for the ship, but it was far from plain sailing. Cutty Sark successfully collected her last Chinese tea cargo in 1877. In December of that year, the ship departed London, bound for Sydney, for a coal cargo, and then went on to Shanghai, arriving at China in April of 1878. The ship's master, Captain Tip-Taff, could not consign a tea cargo. By this time, the Suez Canal had opened, and steamships had arrived on the market. The canal gave steamships a quick, direct route from the Mediterranean into the Red Sea. Reliance on the trade winds around the coast of Africa meant that the sailing ships were unable to access the canal. Unable to find a tea cargo, Captain Tip-Taff died at Shanghai in October 1878. Promoted to the command of Cutty Sark was his first mate, James Wallace. With tea no longer available, the ship started to take different cargoes around the world. It transported coal from Japan to Shanghai and jute from Manila to New York. It also took jute, castor oil, tea, and the Australian mail from Calcutta to Melbourne in March of 1881. The ship's first mate, Sidney Smith, was a bully who was strongly disliked by the crew. In 1880, Smith killed, with considerable provocation, Seaman John Francis. Smith was confined, but Captain Wallace helped him escape at Anjar in Indonesia. This incensed the crew. They refused to work, leaving just 6 apprentices and 4 tradesmen to sail the ship. On September 5th, the ship was becalmed in the Java Sea for 3 days. The guilt, lack of winds, steaming heat, and realization that his career was finished led Wallace to jump overboard. A rescue attempt found no sign of Wallace, only sharks circling where he had last been spotted. All right, this is a side note of James Smith Wallace. He was a young man with a very promising career before him. He gained his second mate's certificate at 19, his master's certificate at 24, and at 25 found himself the captain of the Cutty Sark. John Francis was a crew member who was underqualified and resisted the first mate Sidney Smith's authority. This unfortunate combination of personalities led to Francis disobeying an order from Smith. This escalated into a physical fight, which culminated in Francis being seriously injured and dying 3 days later. Smith was confined to his cabin. When the ship reached Indonesia, Wallace deposed of the murder weapon and allowed Smith to jump ship and escape. The reasons he did this were and remain unclear. The crew were incensed by Wallace's actions, and some had to be constrained in irons. Wallace realized his career was over. His actions had been indefensible. He was bound to lose his master's certificate, and the shame he had brought on his family could never be expunged. He calmly stepped over the taffrail at the stern and drowned. His official death record states death at sea by suicide. Thus, a promising career was cut short by one very curious decision. Okay. On arrival at Angier, William Bruce was transferred from the Halloween and appointed master of Cutty Sark. By all accounts, Bruce was an incompetent, drunken master. He connived with the mate to remove the expensive Australian crew members, pocketing their wages. He was also negligent, failing to pick up enough provisions and half-starving the crew. On arrival at New York in April 1882, an inquiry was held into the conduct of the master and the first mate. This resulted in them being suspended from service, and the crew were given a discharge. As a result, Captain F. Moore and his mate were transferred from the Blackadder to Cutty Sark. Under Moore's command, the ship embarked upon its most successful period of working life. All right. Next time, part 3. This was part 2. Part 3 is going to be 1883 to 1895, the Australian wool years. So stay tuned for part 3. Hope y'all enjoyed. Bye.